Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Good morning, it's 6:15 on Saturday the 5th of June. Just making my way down to the land, and as always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, here we are down on the land, and I'm having a bit of deja vu from last weekend. Huge bright sun again in the sky this morning, as it was on Saturday last week. Got a few bits on the floor there to bring down from the car, but I'll do that later because one of those is actually quite heavy. Yeah, so I'm hoping that it's not quite as scorching as it was last weekend when I ended up with a bit of sunburn. We have had this hot weather all the way through the week, no rain at all. You can probably see there's dew on the grass, but I want a little bit more than some dew on the grass because I've had to keep watering the raised beds all the way through this week. As I've gone home on the way back from work, I've called in and had a quick run round with the watering can. Everything in the raised beds now is coming on really well and in need of water, as indeed was the polytunnel in the garden room. And it's a bit of a pain doing the outside as well as the inside. Ah dear. Anyway, let me get the cabin opened up, and we've got the normal jobs to do with the chicks this morning, as we always do on first arrival. But whatever I'm doing through the day, I'll keep you posted. As usual, first things first, pop a bit of corn down in the floor of the coop so the girls can have a bit of a scratch and a peck around this morning. I've got some greenery as well for them later, as I always do on the weekend. They're seeming very content this morning, which is nice to see. So I'll get myself in the coop. It's going to want cleaning out, I feel fairly sure of that. And we'll see if we've got any eggs. I know we will have, just don't know quite how many we'll have. Now let's take a little look inside the coop, see what we've got going on in here. A bit scruffy. Food and water is actually not bad today. I did top it up though on Thursday. Let's take a little look. Nothing. There we go. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 in there. And nothing in that one, so only 6 this morning. You're slacking, girls. Mind you, having said that, let me think about it for a second. I came down Thursday night on the way from work, cleared out. Well, so yeah, to be fair, that's just yesterday, Friday. So 6 hens, 6 eggs. I suppose I can't really ask for much more than that, can I? Let's get those popped away in the box, and we'll get tidied up. I make a point of coming down every second day to make sure we don't have any accidents with the eggs, keep the water and food topped up, and also to have a tidy up because they are scruffy. There is debris pretty much everywhere. I suppose the bonus is they're now roosting more on this perch than they are outside the nest boxes, which was the whole point. I was getting a bit stressed about that. So that's good. We'll pop the eggs back in the cabin. We'll get the kettle on, and while the kettle's boiling, I can give the coop a tidy out. Beautiful morning. That sun is really bright in the sky. It won't be long before I have to run round and cut this grass again. That's going to be a regular feature now that well, it's not technically summer yet, but it feels like summer. Certainly this last week it's felt like a scorching summer. Yeah, so I'll clean the coop out, have my coffee, and then we'll have a little run round, see what's happening with the plants, and see what jobs I've got on the agenda today. There are quite a few things that I want to get done. I'm hoping, I'm going to ruin it now by saying this, but I'm hoping that tomorrow the bees might arrive. So I really do need to get out and decide where I'm going to put the hive. I do have a few ideas, and it's all kind of around that sun and where that falls during the day. But I'm digressing already. Let me sort the coop out and we'll pick up on the bees later on in the day. Well, good morning. It's the weekend again, and at this time of the morning normally I'd be sat huddled up with my my little hat and jacket on, but not today. It is already quite warm with that sun, and it looks set to be a bit of a scorcher again today. Wherever you are, wherever you're doing, I hope you're staying safe and well, and looking forward to enjoying your weekend respite from the normal day-to-day grind that is Monday to Friday. I've certainly been waiting for it all week, I have to confess. It's been a struggle this past week, but we'll not go there. Weather this week has been pretty much as it is out there. It's been hot and sunny all week, which is nice, but it's not nice when you've got a load of plants that depend on you for water rather than having it just coming out of the sky. So I've been down not every night this week, but most nights this week. I was here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, just keeping on top of the watering. Things like the potatoes now, they're at that stage where if you let them dry out, it's going to knock you right back. But we'll see the plants as we go around later on today. Chickens are quite happy, pecking away. I've sorted the coop out. It's not a big job. It's a messy job, but it's not a big job. And if I do it regularly through the week, it just saves me from arriving on a Saturday morning and facing a huge mountain of stuff that needs moving out onto the compost pile. Brought a few bits from the car as well. I've got some more fence posts. Struggled a bit with those, to be honest. The ones that I put in last week are really, I don't know how thick they are in diameter. I'm guessing about 6 inches, something like that, 15 centimetres. The ones I've brought down today are not as wide, which is a bit of a shame, because you will notice the difference in size when I put them in. But they're sufficient in height, which is, I guess, the main thing. So they need to go in at some point over the weekend, and then I can start looking at getting the chicken wire up. I do need to figure out where to put a door to access the garden area. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. As always, we will be making it up as we go along. Planting wise, I'm going to want to get some more plants in, started off this weekend. I've got some potato tubers been sat on the bench for, must be 10 days, 12 days, something like that. So they could do with going in. I want to get a few more buckets of carrots in. Just trying to get that succession planting as we go through. There are a few other little bits and pieces around the tractor garage, the storage shed, that I want to have a little look at. There's always stuff. When you're sat having 5 minutes, irrespective of where you are, your mind kind of wanders and you start thinking, oh, I could do this, I could do this. And before you know where you are, there's a huge list of things that you'd like to get done. But as always, reality of time and available time kicks in, and you never end up getting them all done, but we'll have a go at a few of those this weekend. Mentioned the bees earlier. There is a chance, because we had a few weeks of really lousy weather. Then last weekend it suddenly went complete opposite, and we had a tropical heat wave come through, which has played havoc with the bees and getting them down onto the land. But there's a chance they might be coming tomorrow. Fingers crossed, we'll see what happens with that. I have been agonising over where to put them, and maybe we'll have a little walk later once I've been round the garden with you, and I'll kind of explain what I'm thinking. So yeah, lots of stuff to do today and tomorrow. As always, I am at the mercy of time and weather. Whether or not I want to try and put those posts in this temperature remains to be seen. But the trouble is, if you don't do it, it just ends up weeks and weeks pass very quickly and you've not achieved anything. So we might have to do what we usually do and battle on through the weather. Had a little look at the grass. That's definitely going to want another cut. You remember last weekend I did this side down by the woodland again and the centre section, which means that the northernmost section hasn't been done for a couple of weeks. Fortunately, that is in sun all day, so that holds it back from growing too wild. But as I walked across and looked over this morning, I could see that actually it's not going to be long before it wants doing. So I might do that at some point over the weekend. In terms of what's going on in the big wide world, it is a bit chaotic, I have to say, with the usual suspects. Economy and inflation, despite the best efforts of the media to tell you it's not happening, it is. I fueled up the car, as I do on a Friday every week, on the way home from work last night, and the price of diesel is just getting ridiculous now. £1.40 per litre here in the UK. And actually, I went on a work trip, not last week, the week before. And as is always the case, if you're travelling on the motorways, the fuel prices there are always a lot higher than they are locally. So yeah, fuel has definitely gone up. The wooden fence posts, wood of any description, has gone through the roof. Toiletries, anything to do with petrochemicals has gone through the roof. Food, in all honesty, not that much. It's gone up, but not that much. But what is happening is that shrinkflation I've mentioned a few times, where the pack size is reducing. So yeah, economy, inflation, big issues there, and I'm pretty convinced by the end of this year we'll be seeing, it'll not be hideable anymore, and we'll be seeing heading towards double-digit percentage rises in inflation on lots and lots of stuff. Shortages, there's been lots of things going on in the news. You remember a few weeks ago there was the big crisis in the US with the pipeline that had been cyber attacked. Last week it was meat packing plants cyber attack. Seems to be a bit of a theme forming, and not quite sure in reality who is doing this. The media and Western governments are pointing fingers at the usual suspects, but I can't say I'm really convinced. There are lots of people out there who like to play on the internet and see where they can break into. Hackers aren't just states, governments sponsored hackers. It's just people in basements who've got not much else to do with the time. So not sure who's doing it, but people are doing it, and the frequency is increasing, and it is causing havoc with the supply chain, as is the shortage of shipping containers. So we've now got pretty much the world supply of shipping containers on the wrong side of the world. They've all been shipped out to China, delivering goods around the world, but they're not going back because they're empty. The rest of the world has got nothing to go back to, China. So there's a mass shortage of containers, which is bumping the price up. And inevitably that will bump the price up of the goods that are delivered to you in the shops. So it is quite chaotic out there now, and is set to continue to be more chaotic and grow in size of chaos as we head on through the rest of this year. So whilst there is no panic now, because things are still available and that real inflation hasn't yet trickled into the supermarkets, don't let that fool you, I guess, is the message. If you are topping up, keep topping up and think about topping up more. If you're not storing, and if you're watching this channel for any length of time, why are you not storing? Because you should be. Things are going to get in short supply, things are definitely going to go up in price, and some things just might not be available at whatever price you want to pay. So why wouldn't you? Things that you know you're going to use, food, toiletries, basic essentials in life, you know you're going to use them. So why wouldn't you put them aside? Because it's not going to hurt you. You are going to use them at some point. And the reality is, even if nothing happened and prices didn't go up, they are, but imagine that they didn't. The worst that is going to happen is that one week you decide, instead of spending £50 for your shopping bill, you use that stuff that you've stored and you've got £50 spare in your hand to do with as you please. So there is nothing that can be detrimental, nothing can hurt you by storing in preparation for if something does go wrong. But I won't turn this into a stack it to the roofs kind of rant, because I don't really do that. And I won't go down the fear porn of scaremongering. I'm just saying things are happening. We can't have forgotten 2020 already. So why not get ahead of the game and get ready for the crisis of 21 or 2022? Because there is one coming for sure. Anyway, let me get this coffee. There are things to do, and I do want to give you a little tour around the garden and the planting. So please do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, and I'll catch up with you as we go through the rest of the video. Well, let's start off the run around the garden with the garden room. We'll start with the disappointing things first. Loads of marigolds come through there. They've done really well, and they're going to be going out. Not quite sure where they're going to be going out yet, but they're going to be going out fairly shortly. The cauliflower didn't all come through, but we've got some quite healthy plants now ready for going out into the raised beds, so they'll be going out. The saga of the peas continues. Nothing at all in those trays. And strangely enough, same with the cabbage. No sign of germination on the cabbage either. Not sure why this is, because last year I didn't have this issue. So I don't know. But on a positive note, look at all these strawberries. They are everywhere. And to be fair, I have actually eaten some of these. As I've popped down during the week, I just couldn't help myself. But I've got loads coming now, absolutely loads, and they are literally everywhere. So success with those. Same too with the true potato seeds. In all honesty, I didn't expect these to grow quite as big as they have. And some of these pots are just going absolutely crazy. I can't understand where all these extra shoots are coming from, because there were single plants. You know, there was, I think, was it 2 in this one? Yeah, I'm fairly sure there was just 2 in this one, 2 in that one, and 3 in that one. And yet I'm getting shoots coming from literally everywhere. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. If I'd known, I'd have probably put them into bigger pots. I was expecting a few little straggly shoots and maybe 1 or 2 tubers, but I don't know. I think we might end up with a bucket full of tubers, which I wasn't expecting. Trees doing very, very well. All these fruit trees are coming on leaps and bounds. I have noticed though that on this pear tree, I've got a little bit of, looks like sunburn on some of these leaves. I don't know what else it could be. I can't see any sign of insects on there. So I'm thinking maybe sunburn, but I don't know. But it doesn't seem to be a huge issue. It's just the odd leaf on that pear tree. The rest seem to be absolutely fine. So moving on, we'll pop out. We'll take a little look at the chickens' vegetable garden. How many chickens have got their own vegetable garden? Question. This bed is going crazy. Lots and lots of lettuce in there now. A couple of different varieties in there. This bed, not so many. There's a whole row here that seems to be missing. There's only that one plant in that row. Now there were more in there, so I'm just wondering whether or not the birds have somehow managed to get in. Borage going crazy in here, really loving this bed. So yeah, I think we'll be picking some of these lettuce fairly shortly. Just heard a rustle in the chicken coop. I think somebody's in the nest box. So yeah, let's take a little look onto the main bit of the garden area. All of those potatoes in the barrels there, doing real well. Strange though, because the ones that went in later, which is this one and this one, seem to be doing better than the first one. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm wondering if perhaps we had some late frosts and these had already gone in. And I'm wondering if that's maybe why these aren't quite as full as those others. Not sure. Nothing wrong with the Swedes. Despite the best efforts of you can see one there, look. Really great slug. That's going to have to come out. I can't just leave that. So bear with me a second. Where's it gone? It's there. Yeah, hopefully a bird will come along and get that. Yeah, well clearly they've been enjoying themselves in here. Lots of slug damage, but the plants themselves really strong underneath, so they've not been affected too much. There's another one over there. I'll have to get it from the other side. So yeah, really pleased with the progress of the Swedes. They've done really well. There's another one there, look. Get out. I could spend all day doing this. I can't remember where that one was now. Where's it gone? Oh, it's there. Lots and lots of them. I've lost it now. Anyway, you don't want to see me picking slugs off leaves. Strawberries recovered after the rabbit attack. They're flowering and producing berries. Clearly not as healthy as the ones inside, but they are producing, which is the main thing. You can see here, look. Corn doing very well. Some real good growth on there now. Not sure how many weeks it takes for those to grow, but I am looking forward to seeing them kind of this high with some corn cobs on. Onions, garlic, all doing very well. I am tempted, this is last year's garlic, I am tempted to have a little sneaky look under there and see what's going on, because they can't be that far away now. The odd stragglers of the cauliflower and the broccoli still fighting away there. They'll be joined at some point this weekend with the ones out of the garden room. So, polytunnel. Look at this, we've got flowers all over these potatoes. So these first tubs are flowering. We should get a really good succession crop of potatoes this year. I've got a couple of buckets there that I'll plant out, because I did pick up some more compost last weekend. A few more strawberries down here. Big berries on those. There was actually a couple of red ones on there around at the back. Oh, there's another red one down there now. I've been picking these. There's a few more down there, look. I've been picking these this week as I've been watering. Cucumber coming on well now. It'll not be long before they're scampering round these canes. Everything else is pretty much as it was last week. Lots of growth on the fig, the blueberry. We've got millions and millions of blueberries, the actual berries forming. So another couple of weeks I should be eating blueberries. They are everywhere, look. Tomatoes, looking like tomatoes now. Some really nice growth on those. I think another, again, couple of weeks they'll be a bit like the forest I had last year, but not quite as many. And the carrots. Those last two buckets putting on some nice strong growth now, so again I'm going to get a couple of more buckets out and plant some more on for a bit of succession planting. Ideally, if I could get halfway down this bed with buckets of carrots, as long as I space them with enough weeks in between the plantings, like the potatoes, I should get some really good succession cropping this year. So carrots and potatoes, I'm not anticipating any shortages of those. Swedes, the same. Really, this year so far, it's those sort of cabbage, cauliflower and broccoli that's let me down. For some reason, they've not wanted to germinate. While we're out here, bees. The thinking is, this is obviously east because the sun's shining and it's early in the morning. So the sun comes up over those trees just behind the cabin, and then it'll gradually work its way across until we get to south, which is kind of round about here. And then over the course of the afternoon, it'll gradually drift, and it kind of drops down somewhere around the corner of the field here as it sets in the evening. So in terms of bees, and bear in mind I'm not an expert, I'm going off what people have told me or what I've looked at on YouTube, they want the sun in the morning. So really we need to be somewhere out here, because the wood line, as you can see, doesn't get it at all until probably about lunchtime, 1 o'clock. That shadow area, as the sun pops around and gets somewhere around here, that's when that gets sun. And the bees allegedly like the sun in the morning, so we want something that's kind of round here somewhere to get that early morning sun. However, having said that, what we don't want, as the sun makes its way around and follows the wood line across, we don't want it in constant sun. So from this side we need something to provide a bit of shade as we hit that kind of lunchtime and into the afternoon. I've not really seen anywhere on the field that gives that, unless I went up to the roadside boundary, and I'm inclined not to have it so close to the road. I want them on the field and further in, away from the road if I can. So I will have a little bit of a ponder. I am tempted to have it somewhere around this area here. Over time there will be shade as these saplings start maturing and growing, but that's a long way off yet. So I'm thinking about screening. What can I use for screening? So, as I said in the cabin earlier, lots of stuff going on in my head. It does need thinking about, because once they're there, they're going to stay there. I'm not going to be moving them around the field. Wherever I decide, that's it. But once they're in, they're in. So I will have a little bit more, I think, but I am tempted to put them somewhere over here so they get that full sun first thing in the morning. I'm just busy sorting through my stack of pallets which come in a variety of different sizes. I need to just make a little base to get the beehive off the floor, so I figured if I cut some of these smaller ones up and stacked them, I'd end up with a little platform for the hive to sit on. So as usual, I can pick my days to do some sewing and heavy lifting, but it'll be nice just to get a little platform in place ready with the hive on, so that when the bees do arrive they can go straight in, rather than have to keep them hanging around while I run round in a blind panic trying to catch up. I've just been having a little walk around the field just to check out and see what gets the sun at this time of the day. It's what is it now, 8:30, and what doesn't. But I just wanted to point something out quickly. If you're of a squeamish disposition and you don't like seeing dead animals, then look away now. But if it doesn't bother you, then here we go. As I'm walking around, I've come across, there's a carcass of a it's actually a baby rabbit rather than a fully grown one, and it's quite a distance away from the cabin. It's not that close, but the reason I point it out, I will move it in a second, is that this last week 10 days, as I've been popping in to do the watering and look at the chickens, I found 2 fully grown rabbits within the space of probably about 5 or 6 days. Actually, one was in amongst the raised beds behind the polytunnel there. The other one was literally outside the door to the cabin. Now, the first one didn't seem to have been touched that much at all. There was whatever had got it had focused on the inside of the rabbit rather than the outside of the rabbit, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to be too descriptive in case any of you are a bit squeamish. The one that was in the raised beds was literally half eaten, and I mean the whole body was half eaten. This one's kind of been picked over, so I'm not sure what it is, but something predatory is doing me a favour by having a go at the rabbit population. Now that's the first time in 2 years that I've actually seen that, and I'm not sure what it is, whether it's fox or bird of prey. That's been picked over by carrion crows, you know, the sort of magpies, crows, rooks, whatever, your carrion birds. The others, first one, not sure, suspect a big bird given the state of the body because it was pretty much intact. The other one, I'm more inclined to think fox or some other kind of small mammal predator. Something to keep an eye on. I'm thinking about my chickens, obviously. But I have made a point every time I've found something of looking around the coop and the pen. No signs of activity around there at all, and I'm fairly certain that they're secure from anything apart from a human. Rabbits clearly not so. Something's having a go at them. And I'm not going to complain because the rabbits are annoying me at the moment. But I just thought I'd share that with you because that's literally, I just found that now as I was walking around. And it just acted as a bit of a reminder to tell you about that. Well, it's hot, sweaty work breaking down these pallets because the sun is absolutely scorching in the sky. Unbelievably hot. Anyway, we're making progress. I'm getting a little base built, but of course it wants some paint on it. Everything needs paint on it, except the hive. I'm not painting that, but I am going to paint this. I've deliberately left a little bit of open space on the sides to get a bit of airflow into the bottom of the hive. I've closed in the front and the back where I've left the sides open. So let's get some paint knocked onto that. Well, it's no good. I've had to retreat into the shade. It is unbelievably hot and my head is starting to get a little bit warm. But first coat's almost done. I'll get this finished off, grab a cup of coffee while it's drying, and as soon as it's ready I'll get a second coat on it. A bit fiddly trying to paint something that's got lots of gaps in it, but we're getting there. It's all good progress. Well, as usual at the weekend, chickens get some greenery. They're busy enjoying that. I've just thrown some water on the plants in the polytunnel. They were absolutely drying out, so I've emptied my containers and I'm just busy filling those up in the cabin now while the kettle's boiling. So hopefully, once I've finished feeding the chicks with the greenery, I'll be able to sit down for 5 minutes with a cup of coffee, because it is absolutely roasting out there today. Absolutely roasting. Well, I'm absolutely roasting. Absolutely roasting. I can't believe how hot it is. But look at this. I've got a strawberry snack to go at. They are lovely. So I'm going to have 5 minutes. I've got my cup of coffee here. Got my little strawberries. I've just given the chickens their weekend greenery. But it is roasting. Absolutely roasting out there. First coat of paint is on the base for the beehive. No doubt by the time I finish this coffee, the sun, even though it's in the shade, will have baked it dry. I'll get a second coat on and then I'll figure out where it's going to go. But for now, I'm just going to chillax a little bit, try and cool down, and I'll catch up with you all later. Bon appetit. Well, I've got my potato tubers and as you can see, they're already sprouting, they're chitting. So I'm just going to pop these into this compost. That's one. These are from potatoes that I've been collecting from the supermarket literally over the last couple of weeks. You remember I've been moaning and groaning about how they're already chitting when you get them, which clearly they are. So I'm just going to use these up as well in these last two buckets. So that's that. I've watered these already, so I'll just need to bob a little bit of compost on, and I'll be a bit more succession planting. I'm going to have to get some more of these bigger size fabric containers, because again, everything's so hard to get hold of. The last lot I ordered, I couldn't get these. I got the next size down, which I didn't really want, but needs must. If that's all we've got, that's all we've got. So I'll get these covered over, and then I'll give them a bit of a watering. Well, we've got our trusty carrot seeds. So I've got two buckets ready to go, and I'll just sprinkle these as I've done with all the others. Make sure I get plenty. I can always thin out. I'd rather have to thin out than not have enough in the bucket. Fiddly carrot seeds, because they're very, very small. And it is hard to see where they're going, but I think that's about it. So we'll just pop those back, pop a bit of compost on top. Don't need much on this. Just enough to cover the surface. I think that'll just about do it. It's absolutely roasting in this polytunnel. I don't know what the temperature actually is, but it's hot. Well, we've got 12 buckets of carrots on the go. There were more, but people have got a habit now of saying, "Oh, can I just have one bucket to put in my garden?" The joys of friends and family, eh? May as well just give these fruit trees a quick water while I've got the watering can out. The other plants are okay. I'm conscious that these fruit trees are drying out quite quickly compared to the other plants, so I'll just keep topping up. I'll probably give them a little bit more before I go home, and no doubt I'll give them some more again in the morning when I come down. Yeah, those others are okay. So got some seedlings. I think I'll get those out the trays into the raised beds, and I'll think about planting some more stuff. In fact, before I do anything else, I really ought to put a second coat of paint on that base for the beehive. It's so easy to get distracted with everything. Got a couple of plastic containers here. They're actually hanging baskets. My mate Covid Hunter brought them down for me, full of seedlings of sycamore trees. So I've actually put those out on the field. I've put them where the aggregate pile used to be, towards the roadside there, because that's a barren patch with just really compacted clay soil, bits of aggregate that was left over, and a load of bramble bushes. So I've put those tree seedlings there, and I thought I'd reuse these and get some of these marigolds and lavender cuttings popped in, and then they can gradually grow bigger and bigger. The marigolds will die off, but the lavender will keep going all the way through. So I'm going to pop a few of those in each, and then intersperse them with the marigold plants, and we'll see how we get on. Hopefully these marigolds will keep the critters away from the raised beds. Maybe the lavender will as well, I don't know. But it's also food for bees, and we need some of that now since we're going to be having bees arriving shortly. So waste not, want not. Let's get these popped out so they can grow on into bigger plants. Not productive from a food point of view, but they'll help the food production, and of course give me a supply of food for my bees when they turn up. These cuttings have done really well. They were taking it completely the wrong time of the year, but they managed to hang in there through the winter, so I'm quite pleased with these. It's a shame I didn't have one more just to even both pots out. I was banging these cauliflowers in while I've got the chance. They're getting way too leggy now in these seed trays. Not much I can do about that, because I can't dictate how they grow, unfortunately. But I'll get them planted in. And fingers crossed they'll grow on. Got my little plants out. I'm going to pop some more seeds in seed trays in a minute, but I've been busy trying to make my mind up where the hive's going to go, and I've plumped for the hedge line here. In the morning when the sun comes up, it comes up literally there above the cabin. So if I stand where the beehive is, that's where the sun's coming from. So in theory it should warm that up first thing in the morning. Don't know if you can see the shadow on the trees there or not. We're heading towards, what is it, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something like that. The sun is over there. It is shining on the hive. It's a pity that this tree got eaten and died back. I've left it in just in case it comes, but I'm tempted to pop another tree in here. I can always put a bit of shade in if I think it's getting too much, just as a temporary fix. But gradually, as the sun moves around, it'll move around here. and it'll disappear off over that hedge line as it sets. So these trees and this tree, in theory, should provide some shade towards the afternoon. You can see there's a bit on the ground already, so as the sun works its way around it will cast more shadow. There's water just where that hedge line there is where the dike runs, the ditch, so they've got access to water nearby. They've got all of the hedgerow to forage. They've got the field behind, which is quite overgrown, and there's lots of flowers in there for them to forage. And of course there's this entire garden area and the wood line to forage. So I'm hoping that that's the correct place. I will defer to the judgment of my friend the beekeeper when he turns up, hopefully tomorrow, and he can tell me yes, that's fine, or are you crazy? Move it. So we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. Still plenty of things to do. I need to have 5 minutes in the cabin first though with a cup of coffee, I think, because I am wearing myself out. Those fence posts laid on that plastic bag there keep beckoning, but in all honesty the heat today, I'm just not sure that I can do it. I have been busy running around with water on these raised beds just to try and keep on top of it. I could do with some water on me actually. So let me get out of this heat into the cabin, into the bit of shade. I might even come out here in the tree line like I did last weekend and just chillax for 5 minutes with a coffee. Well, I'm going to give this another shot with these seed trays and get some more cauliflower in. Not been very successful with the brassicas this year. Don't really know why that is. I suspect it's probably because I've planted too early. The season is well behind because of the cold weather we had earlier on this year. But anyway, we'll give it a go. It's certainly not cold now. These are fiddly. I've got the dreaded walkers on the bridleway behind the cabin. People are noisy. The amount of people that come across that bridleway and they've got music blaring away. Thankfully not today, but some people, they don't talk, they shout. And you're walking along and you would think that they were shouting at somebody like 200 metres away, and it's not, it's the person next door to them. They're just bloody noisy. And you see, that's how far away is that? That's 50 metres away, and you can hear them clear as day. So they're clearly not just talking like I am to you now. They're shouting. People, that's our worst enemy when something hits the fan, I'll tell you that now. So choose wisely, Master Luke, as to who you hang around with, because you'll be stuck with them when something hits the fan. I'm not sure I put one in there. So that's the cauliflower seeds in. And we'll just fill those little holes in, press them down, get a bit of contact with the seed, and we'll see what happens with those. Well, I'm a glutton for punishment. I just couldn't resist popping these fence posts in. You can clearly see there's a massive difference between them and these. But they're in and they're solid, so that's all that matters. The only real problem is that I want to have a little gate here, and clearly these are too flimsy to hang a gate off. Well, indeed, those big round posts aren't really suitable. So I have got a length of timber. Only trouble now is I've got to sew it to the right length and then try and shape some kind of point on the end with a hand saw. Oh dear. Anyway, onward and upwards. Time's flying by. It's gone 2 o'clock already. I really need to be cracking on with this and getting finished. Well, that wasn't very easy, but it's done, so let's see if it works. Just got to be a bit careful now that I've make a big enough opening so I can get the wheelbarrow in and out. Don't want to fall for that, put the post in and find I can't get the wheelbarrow through. Well, that's the posts in, and I have to say I'm just about worn out. I decided to go all the way up the edge of that polytunnel. I was just going to go to the front and the back and leave the middle, but I figured I may as well do the whole thing because that cover will be coming off at some point. Getting that gate post in was a bit of a struggle, but it's in and it's not going anywhere. So I'm not going to do it today, but probably tomorrow I'll fabricate a little gate to go in that gap, and I made sure it was big enough to get the wheelbarrow through, so all should be well. I've just run round and watered these potatoes. There's no sign whatsoever of any rain, and I don't want them knocking back because they get too dried out. So everything's had a little water. I must close that raised bed over. Otherwise the rabbits will be in tonight for sure. So I've just got the water container filling up in the cabin. Once that's done, I think that'll be me. This sun just isn't giving up at all. Absolutely scorching day today, but progress, and that's what it's all about. Well, that's it for another day. Chickens are all in the shade. They're lucky. I've been dying out here. Everything's locked up. It's a beautiful day. If I was just sat in a chair in the shade drinking beer, it would be absolutely fantastic. But I haven't been. But we've got progress. Everything's put away, wood piles away, polytunnel's locked up. The fence is taking shape around the garden. So all in all, even though I'm worn out, I can't complain. My beehive is in its spot, ready to take the bees. Fingers crossed that'll be happening tomorrow. So I'll be down bright and early in the morning. I don't know if you can see or not, it's actually in shade now, look. the tree is giving it some shade, and that sun will just gradually move a little bit further. Yeah, hopefully that's okay. If not, I'll have to put something here, some kind of shade in here, but I'll see what my bee expert says in the morning. Right, that's it. I'm away. I'm completely worn out, but I'm happy with the progress I've made. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. How's the garden looking? More importantly, I guess, how is your garden looking? Have you started one yet? Are you just thinking about it? If you are, why not just go ahead and do it? Even if it's a small couple of pots on a balcony, it's better than nothing. And what about those fence posts? Not really what I wanted to be doing today, but if you don't just keep pushing on, you're never going to get stuff done. Let me know what you think of them in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.